Is this a Cloverfield? Okay, before I get into the review, everybody saw the Super Bowl yesterday. The Eagles beat the invincible New England Patriots, but we also got a teaser trailer or a trailer of the new Cloverfield Paradox, the one movie I'm about to review right now. So, does this movie put it earlier on? They kind of advertised that this movie is going to piece all the puzzles together, including the 2008 Cloverfield movie, which I loved, and the 2016 10 Cloverfield Lane that I did not like, that I voiced my opinion that I did not enjoy, even though it was a captivity film, even though it was done well, it was very isolated. I did not like that movie, and I thought it was a big disaster to me. But moving on, it's supposed to piece. Does it piece all the puzzles, pieces of the puzzle together? No, it does not. But I'm going to give you what this movie's about. Okay, the Cloverfield Paradox, directed by Julius Ona and produced by J.J. Abrams, Bad Robot Productions, who also did Star Trek, the new Star Trek franchise. So, okay, this movie takes place in a time where there's an energy crisis going on in the world, and they have to, a group of international astronauts are on a space station known as Cloverfield. Notice that they have to solve the crisis, and they use a thing on the ship known as a particle accelerator and accidentally travel into an alternate dimensions or in between dimensions because they don't really make it that clear in this movie. I just kind of had to figure it out on my own watching the movie. Probably will have to watch it again, but I wanted to give you guys like a little bit of a spoiler review here. So they're different. There's different scenarios in this film. They are in an alternate dimension where on Earth, there's taking place the attack of what looks like the attack of the Cloverfield monster. I don't know if it's the attack from the 2008 film because clearly it probably isn't because there's a main character on here. I just want to talk about the performances real quick. The performances were solid on this movie. There's not a single bad actor on this movie. It's not like I could pick this movie apart, but as far as performances are concerned, it's actually really good. I liked it. But there's the main character is a woman who lost her family when she accidentally turned on something in her apartment and ended up killing her children, and her husband's on Earth for what seems to be an attack that takes place where he all of a sudden there's all kinds of stuff on the news, including in the very opening part of the film where there's a guy with a book that says the Cloverfield Paradox, and he's talking about the fear of you know two different dimensions clashing that it could happen or whatnot. And there's a reporter right there as well. So he's kind of in the middle, but what looks okay. Don't quote me on that if you haven't seen this. Looks like it's the attack of but I don't think it's the original 2008 film. So because you kind of see a silhouette of a giant monster walking away from the rubble of a crushed building, and there's a little girl right there just freaking out of her mind. So he saves her, and then he takes her, and he's kind of just talking to somebody on his cell phone, texting back and forth. And on the space station, there's a lot of weird stuff start happening because, okay, keep in mind there's two different parallel dimensions. Like if you guys remember the Back to the Future films, a lot of what Dr. Emmett Brown talks about on those movies about a paradox, basically different scenarios that could happen. Let's just say if you time travel and visit it yourself, you could end up causing a paradox that will destroy the entire universe. I'm sorry, but that's what this movie is really talking about. Two persons cannot occupy the same space because the astronauts are trying to solve this, and these strange things start to happen in the ship where there's like the ship starts to react strangely because there's a guy who gets a crew member gets his arms caught on the wall, and all of a sudden he can't take it off. And when he finally takes it off, they help him get it off. The crew member's his arm is missing. So before I say what I think really happened, there's also a stowaway that comes into the third act of the movie. She's in between another person that inside the ship. She's got a bunch of wires attached to her, stuck right into her. It looks really bad. She looks in horrible pain if you really look at it. So, but they don't. She says she's from another dimension. That's when you kind of start to. If you're not really familiar with movies like this, you're gonna be lost. I was very lost in the very beginning of it. So then I kind of, after watching it just now, I kind of, piecing up the best I could of the puzzle. So this movie is a big mind scramble. I kid you not. It will. If you guys are not if you guys are not familiar with what a paradox is or time traveling, just steer clear of the movies. I mean, I basically used Back to the Future to give me the best scenario, the best way of explaining it, because this is actually a good movie. I liked it. I liked it. It's just the problem with it is it really has nothing to do, because if I mentioned in the beginning of the video, originally it was supposed to be known as the God particle, and but I guess they decided in 2012 when it went into pre-production that it was going to be a Cloverfield sequel years later, of course. So she has to stop her dimension. She basically, the Stowaway wants to kill everybody on board in order to get the ship, use the space station to save her own timeline. Because there's different timelines being explained on this movie. It's just insane if you're not really familiar with that. So she's willing to kill several people on that ship as opposed to killing 10 billion people on the Earth. So but they don't really give an explanation. But I kind of figured it out on my own that woman and that guy are stuck, where his arm is stuck in between dimensions, and that's why she shows up inside the ship like that, because she got trapped in between parallel dimensions, alternate universes. So that's she kind of explains that. There's a lot, yeah. This movie's very convoluted, yeah, and there's exposition on this movie, but sometimes exposition is the only thing that we have to explain what the hell's going on in a movie like this. If you're not really familiar with the Cloverfield movies, you might want to watch the first two if you've never seen it before. And so does this movie? So all the performances on here are very solid. Everybody did a good job. If this movie was called something else and it was supposed to be called something else, it really wouldn't have mattered. I mean, on the surface, the Cloverfield Paradox is a good film. It's a good space adventure, science fiction. And for you science fiction nerds out there, when you put the Cloverfield universe in the context of the film, it really screws it up, because it's a good movie. There's not a single bad actor on this movie. The special effects are just fine, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong. But when you try to put the Cloverfield universe into this movie, because the first movie, there's at the end of the couple's videotape, there's you see the satellite falling into the ocean right there. It shows it, and then in 10 Cloverfield Lane at the end of the film, you see the girl traveling into this. There's a silhouette of a mothership, of a spaceship right there, and there's aliens on that movie. So does this movie really solve any in continuity errors? It absolutely does not. It didn't solve nothing for me really. The only thing I know, I had to put everything together myself, and that's what you're probably going to do if you're going to watch this movie, because and at the very end of the movie, we finally see them time trap going. They come back to their universe. I'm not even sure if that is their universe when they come back at the very end of the film, because they go into this escape pod and they're traveling towards the Earth. Entering the Earth's atmosphere, and then out of the clouds you see the humongous Cloverfield monster for about 2 seconds. Very disappointing. That's what I wanted to see in this movie, because we still don't know where the hell does that thing come from. Is it alien? Yeah, it could be. Is it was it from the ocean? Is it a prehistoric creature that nobody knew about? We still don't know. On the surface, like I said, this movie's really good. I mean, it's serviceable if you like science fiction thrillers, but where it disappoints is in the whole Cloverfield universe. It disappoints completely because it doesn't explain any in continuity errors. This movie has so many potholes. The stowaway on the ship. They don't really explain why that guy's arm gets attached and why the ship why the ship attacks people if you get stuck to it or anything like that. But my own emphasis on the movie is because there's they're in between several different alternate universes and dimensions, and that's why that happens. That's what I came up with. That's what I think is happening on this film. So if you go into this and you don't know, and you already know the Cloverfield movie, you're still gonna definitely your brain is definitely gonna be challenged because I think to give the Cloverfield Paradox a C plus because on the surface it's a good movie. It should have just stayed the God particle and stayed away completely clear of the Cloverfield universe because it does not do any of the original film justice. A found footage film that I like and I still watch. Years of incontinuity errors are not explained at all because it was supposedly to explain everything from the original film and it did nothing of the sort. Okay, if you like this video, subscribe to this blog, support this blog. I want to try to get my more subscribers, and I appreciate everybody who's stayed subscribed and check this movie out. You probably like it. Like I said, it's not a bad movie. All right. So I hope I covered everything. And okay, on the comments below, if you could comment on this video, comment on what you thought maybe that I missed of this movie. What are you, on the comments below? Put what do you think is going to happen in the next movie? I'm hoping the next movie we actually see the origin of the Cloverfield monster, and it ripping stuff apart. That's what I want to see. This is the reason the originators of the original Cloverfield movies they said they were influenced by kaiju films, Godzilla style. So that's what I want to see, and I was completely disappointed. So on the comments below, what you think is going to happen in the next Cloverfield sequel? Is it going to be? It's a straight to DVD. It's on Netflix. You can watch it if you haven't already seen it, and hopefully we'll actually get a big budget movie that we can actually go to the movies and watch maybe next year. Who knows? I'm not sure. Okay, so like I said, thank you for everybody that stayed subscribed, and I will see you guys real soon.